Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara. Gurur Sakshat Parabrahm, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Dhyanamoolam Gururmurti, Puja Moolam Gururpadam, Mantramoolam Gururavakyam, Mokshamoolam Guru Kripa. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We are in the question number 33. Answer is going on. We did just some part of it, and now we move on towards the point number 4. Talks about the 5 great elements had not undergone Panchikaraṇa, that is the transformation of subtle into gross. The 5 great elements were apanchikrit and hence subtle. They led to the creation of the macrocosmic and microcosmic subtle world. They later became Panchikrita when the desire for the same arose in Ishwara. Then they led to the origin of the gross, macrocosmic and microcosmic world. Now in this, the answer is coming in a very, very delicately complicated procedure which is called the Panchikaraṇa. Panchikaraṇa is a process in which the subtle elements will get converted into the gross. And actually, even before the subtle, from the causal, the subtle will rise. And then from subtle, the gross elements would be rise. So this whole process is called Panchikaraṇa. Progressive divisions of the 5 elements is called the Panchikaraṇa. And this Panchikaraṇa is basically the reason for the creation of this macrocosmic and microscopic subtle world, then followed by the gross world. Panchikrita, krita means creativity. So Panchikrita means the creativity done by the 5, or should we say, which happened because of the 5. And now these 5 elements are jada, inert, hence they cannot do anything without the absolute substratum Brahman in their foundation. 5. According to Jeeva, the one who identifies with the macrocosmic, gross, subtle and causal world is Ishwara. Similarly, the one who identifies with the microcosmic, gross, subtle and causal world is Jeeva. Being omniscient, Ishwara is eternally liberated, and on the other hand, due to its ignorance, Jeeva is in the bondage. This is the way Prapancha has been imposed on pure Brahman. So this causal, subtle and gross, 3 levels of elements, why this division or the expansion or the combination of the elemental expansion started happening, the reason has already been given. 1, it is the wish of Ishwara, and 2, it is the totality of the all karmas of all the jivas which are yet to give their fruit. So these 2 reasons become very pertinent for the manifestation of the world to happen. Again, know this very well that in Vedanta we don't have the word called creation, and we also don't have the word called creator. Creator and creation is some a very different connotation from Vedanta. There are, even in Bharat philosophy, we have some schools of thought who say they are called Arambhavad, this called the philosophy of beginning. Then we have Sankhya, in which they consider the prakriti as Sat in its flowing form. But Vedanta doesn't agree to all this. Although in Vedanta we do study Sankhya also, because Vedanta is like an all-comprising, and it brings everything onto the table and understand what it is, then dissects it with the sword of their viveka. And then we, in the conclusion, will say whether this particular school of thought is correct or not correct. But without listening or understanding the opinion of other school, Vedanta Acharyas never just condemned anybody and everybody. That's why the level of intelligence of our sages was so high and so great, and they had so much of tolerance and they had so much of patience and perseverance that they could sit across and have a talk, listen to what opponent is saying, without saying, oh, it's blasphemous and you should be killed. The best example, the bestest example of tolerance in whole world history, if you can find, then it is only in this country, Bharat, and you won't find this kind of tolerance present. Whether it is about their gods or scripture, whether it is about the caste system, whether it is about how they conduct their social and religious rituals, everything is very open. We give the freedom. Okay, you want to worship a tree, fine, but I don't believe in that. The other person says, fine. I want to worship an idol, fine. I don't believe in, fine. I want to worship a holy book. Go ahead, please do it. And I don't agree to it, fine, you don't agree to it. So this country gave an umbrella protection to people who would have diverse opinions about God. So in this country we have opinion, God is one. We have opinion, God is many. We have opinion, God is a man. We have opinion, God is a woman. We have opinion that this creation happened by Brahma. Some say no Vishnu, some say no Shiva, some say no Devi, and some say it happened because of Ganesha, and so we agree to that also. Because there is this great wisdom which is present underneath, and that's why when you say Ganesha or Shiva or Rama or Vishnu or Devi, we don't see them as different entities. We just see them waves of that same ocean. So it doesn't matter, because we are seeing the water in every wave, hence every wave is a water, hence every wave can be worshipped as water. What's the problem there? So this is the only country where God is not only considered as light, but God is also considered as darkness. Because if God is only light, then who is the hell is darkness? So in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Abhinav Gupta, a great Shaivite scholar of Kashmir, who comprised and compiled this beautiful techniques of dhyana. In there is this one technique called meditating on darkness. So the seeker has to find a place which is sheerly and utterly, totally dark, 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 and then you sit in that dark place and then you meditate on that darkness. And you try to focus on the external darkness, and then you bring that same darkness into the mind also. Now, darkness is interrelated with fear and scare and paranoia and so many psychological issues and illnesses. But a person who is meditating on Shiva considers the darkness also one form of Shiva, the Bhairav Shiva. So the dark Shiva, the destructor Shiva. Hence, even the darkness is considered to be divine, and we don't have any problem in just saying this and in accepting this. So Ishwar in its all forms and formats is acceptable. And people who have a very small intellect, or those who are too biased because of their faiths, they can't really see and understand why this country has this multi-diversity beliefs about God and have various schools of thought. And majorly there are 6 schools only, but then there are sub-branches of these schools also. So when we say the gross world came from subtle, and the subtle came from causal, and the causal came because of the wish, eko aham bahu syamaha, may I be multiplied into many. That is the wish of Ishwara. And because the Ishwara is the reflection of Brahm in the pure sattvic māya, hence is singular, hence is beyond any bondage or darkness, and is always liberated. But Jeeva is in the bondage. Why? Because the avidyā is not very pure. It's in Sanskrit we have word malin, sullied. We can't say dirty. Dirty would be very harsh word, but it's just a little sullied. The Prapancha theory will come on later in this very text, so I am not going to go into details of. So they said this is how the Prapancha has been imposed on the Brahman. When we say impose, then it means it's not real, and it is something which is creating the illusion of another entity which is actually not even existing. Question: is this imposition real or illusory? Answer: this imposition is unreal. Just like the vision of a snake in a rope, like a state of dream that appears to be true, and the reflection of town in a mirror. 2 examples have come up which are new ones. One is the state of dream. In dream you see so much. Huge world is seen. And the dreamer totally forgets that he is lying in a bed. So the dream world seems to be real, and when the dream is happening, that is real. I am recalling one incident of in the Kumbh time. There's tents where the sadhus are sleeping. So from one tent there was noises coming, sound, what happened? So the sadhus from the other tent rushed to see. And by the time they reached, this sadhu also woke up, but was sweating. And everybody asked, what happened? He said, there were 4 or 5 dogs who were about to bite me, and they were barking, and they were so ferocious, and I was trying to protect. I said, now it's just a dream. But see, when the dream was happening, his noises and his ruckus and his fear and his yelling woke other people from their tent. How real it was. How real. So you can't say dream is just a dream, because when the dream is happening, you don't call it just a dream. It's a true reality for you at that time. But when you wake up, then you say, oh, it was a dream. So all the jivas who are sleeping in the avidyā, for them this is real, and those who have woken up, for them it is as unreal as a dream. The other example given here is the reflection of a town in a mirror. Say if you go to a hilltop or any highest point in any town, and you have a huge mirror, and you place it in such a way that the town gets reflected in the mirror. So the length and breadth and the depth of the town would be seen in the mirror. And yet there is nothing in the mirror. Nothing at all. But yet, even if you say, raise the mirror towards the sky, then it would seem that all the sky and all the stars and moon have come into the mirror. And there is no place for this depth to happen, but yet it would be visible. So like the reflection of a town in a river, it is unreal, it is illusory, so is this imposition of this whole Prapancha. Question: what leads to this imposition? This imposition occurs because of the agyāna, that's absence of knowledge. Jnana means knowledge, and jnana, means it's negative word, it's saying that something is not there, absent. So it's the absence of knowledge because of which this imposition is there in your mind. So we can say this world is just a projection of your mind and nothing more. But because you are sleeping in the avidyā, hence for you it is real, but for a jnani it is unreal. If I say what's the difference in between a jnani who knows and a jnani who doesn't know, is only one. The jnani has woken up and a jnani is sleeping. Otherwise, what would be the difference? Yeah, you can have all those stories created that so and so walked on the water and so flew in the air and so gave life to a dead body. Who knows whether that actually happened or not? You know, I can give you hundreds of those medical episodes where the person seemed that is dead. But actually what happened was that his heartbeat has gone into a pause. You know, it's like a pause. So if you give an electrical shock, fibrillated, right, then the heart begins to beat again. So who knows when this so-called miracle happened in some place, in some village, that the dead rose. Now maybe that dead was not actually dead. There had been many instances in hospitals, right, doctor? Many instances where it seems there is no pulse, there is no heartbeat, and they say that person is dead. But then either by some external maneuvers or sometimes what injection you give directly? Adrenaline. And there are more also. There are many more which are injected, and the person is absolutely seemingly normal. Seemingly, because the person is sick, so obviously. So the stories about these enlightened ones, and the stories about the siddhas, the stories about the yogis, you know, all those miracles sometimes feels like, you know, it's a imagination or what? Just to prove that they are different and very distinctive and they have some great attributes in them. Hence these miracle stories are conjoined with every prophet, every guru, every avatar. But if I say what is the one difference, then the only difference which I would say is that one is woken and one is not. Such jnani sleeps and eats and bathes and talks and moves and interacts and does all the work. So did Sri Ram, so did Sri Krishna, so did Kabir Sahib, so did Guru Nanak, so did all those other enlightened ones. Now, this enlightened word is again not very in sync with the Vedantic text. Our word is Brahmavedta, the one who knows the Brahm, or Atmavedta, one who knows the self. This enlightened word is again a very European word. Because they think God is light, everything is light, and our mind is dark. So when the light comes to our mind, we are enlightened. So the enlightened word is not a very respectable word in my opinion. If I have to define a greatness of any person, then I would say if that person is that, and that is Brahmavedta, the knower or the one who has lifted the veil of avidyā and ignorance from his mind. That would be the right appropriate word. Question: how should one comprehend and why this imposition occurred? Answer: if a cloth is stained with oil, one should be aware of it and try to clean it. Thinking how and when it happened won't yield you anything. Likewise, pondering on how and when the imposition of Prapancha occurred won't serve any purpose. The only appropriate action is the endeavor towards getting freedom from it. Very common sense answer, actually. Very common sense answer. Say, why did this prapancha happen? He said, why you want to go into that detail, why it happened? We should think about how to remove this imposition, or how to understand that we remove this imposition. Not when it happened. If a cloth gets dirty, then you don't go into history of, or you hire a CBI agency to find out from where and why and how and who did this. No. We just go and look for some good detergent and hot water and let it soak, maybe in some salty water, soak that water then in that water for some time, and then put that some good detergent and just rub it off, and maybe let it dry for some time and then wash it off. That's what you do to a cloth. And they say that's what you should do to your mind, which is having this imposition in itself. Question: how can one get freedom from this imposition? Answer is with Brahmagyāna. The veil of māya and avidyā is removed. The whole manifested prakriti ceases to appear true. The illusory relation between prakriti and Brahma is removed. The notion of being Ishwara and Jeeva ends. The dissimilarity between Ishwara and Jeeva is dissolved, and one is free from all bondages and attains moksha. Now, what will happen when this imposition gets removed? They give all the detail. That the veil of māya avidyā is lifted, the manifested world doesn't seem to be true, the prakriti and Brahma's illusory relation is removed, and then there is no Ishvara left, and then there is no Jeeva left. Both are not there. Now it might seem very Buddhist statement that nothing will be the remainder. It's a shunya is the remainder. No. In Vedanta we say this imposition of avidya and maya is removed. Hence the Ishwara and the Jeeva, which are the reflection in this maya and avidya, are removed, but the Brahma is still there. If you don't look at a mirror, the reflection in the mirror won't happen, but that doesn't mean your face too will die. Yeah, I know ladies like to keep a little, their little mirror to see their face again and again in a day. But say if they lose that mirror, they won't die. The woman can still survive without that mirror. So if the mirror of avidya and ignorance, the māya, if is understood, and then the Ishvara and the Jeeva are just a mere reflection. Also the dissimilarity between Jeeva and the Ishvara is also dissolved, should I say. The micro and macro, if that's the difference only. But now we are saying that the one who is being reflected in avidya and who is being reflected in the maya is one and the same. So how can Jeeva and Ishvara be two? So the duality is totally eradicated with Vedantic understanding. So now it's very hard for a dualistic mind or for who is following the bhakti marga to understand what this Jnani is speaking. Now, it might seem to some that many more great Mahatmas, were they non-believers of God? Were they communist? Were they against the presence of God? No. On the contrary, what they knew, others never knew. But yet, there is a very set of different rituals which the bhakti devotees would follow, the bhakta would follow, but a Jnani will not. But in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna kind of warns all the Jnanis that when you live in amidst the fools, please follow the ritual. And Krishna himself says that although I don't have any responsibility and an obligation to do anything, yet for the benefit of the masses, I do follow the rules, and I do follow the obligations, and I do follow the whatever rulings are given for that particular time or place. So, but in opinion and understanding of a Tattva-gyani, there is no difference in between a simple normal Jeeva and Sri Krishna, his Guru and himself. There's just oneness. The oneness word is again not right, because we say there is a non-duality. The word is Advaita. So this oneness again is a very, I would say, contorted word. Doesn't represent the existence or the non-duality of the Brahman very nicely. So so one is freed from all the bondages and attains the moksha. Just as in a moment knowledge destroys the illusion of a snake in a rope, and all that is left is the substratum of the rope, similarly by acquiring the knowledge of Prapancha, all impositions are done away with, and what remains is only the substratum of Brahman. Again, they have brought the example of rope and snake, that if in the partial light it seemed there is a snake and you got scared, but then somebody brought a bigger light and you saw, what you saw? Just a rope. Now where did the snake go? Snake was never there. Snake was never there, but it seemed it is there. So even though it was just a misconception, it was a Brahma. In Sanskrit the word is Brahma. Brahma means a misconception. When you couldn't see the rope, and somehow some similarity, and that the fear of snake is there in your mind, so hence your mind saw that there is a snake, and you ran, and you then maybe broke your leg or skull, and then you were bleeding, and then you were plastered, and medical aid was given and everything. But now you know there was just a rope, but you can't say that I ran and broke my skull and bones because I saw a rope. But there was a snake for him at that time, at that point. In that particular state of mind, it was not the rope which he saw and he got scared. He literally saw a snake, got scared, ran, broke his skull, broke his bones, got the plaster on. And when now anybody would ask, what happened? Isn't it a very embarrassing story to say? It's very embarrassing. So once the illusion of the snake is removed, what remains back is just a rope. Similarly, when the impositions are done away, then what remains alone is the substratum Brahman. Question: how does one attain this Brahmagyāna? The Vichara that leads to Brahmagyāna will be revealed later.